Hey, Zany Professor here. I want to tell you I'm aware of this series called The Theater of the Mundane. And I am also aware through the rumor mill that Luthanius is going to want to be called the teacher with pizzazz. And I think that this directly steps on my toes as the Zany Professor. So never refer to him, no matter how much he asks, as that. That's going to be a problem. I don't want to cause a rivalry in the studios here. So just keep that in mind. What is this big old box behind me? Oh, well. So the sermon summaries have not been super popular. I think I get zero views on them for the most part. So I thought what I would do is maybe make them 5 to 8 minutes, hopefully. Going to be hard to do with some pretty heavy stuff going on here. Um, and sort of maybe make these summaries still, but very, very limited, where I just go over the scope of the ideas much quicker and hopefully can amount to a blessing to anyone that would watch this. So, if you want to read the passages I'm talking about, though, I'll have them down in the description. But this is Romans 7 7 through 25. So, the question that I'm going to be asking in this is first is, according to Romans 7 7 25, what does Paul see sin as being? Is it A, something you know, or B, something you do? Well, actually, it's something that precedes the very being of who you are. That the law itself is spiritual, and sin is a law at war with the spiritual law. And therefore, sin is what you do. You only know about it because of the law, but it's what you do because it's what you are. Okay. Now this is called hamartiology. It's it's just systematic theology, but it's also biblical theology. In this particular case, I'm trying to keep it as biblical theology as much as possible, but there will be other areas that I may discuss here very shortly. But this is how we understand the nature of sin, right? It's what we are. So it's not just what we do. In fact, sin precedes what we do. Because our minds are spiritual things, okay, we can affirm in our minds the spiritual nature of the law, that the nature is a good thing. Fully affirm it. You can be an unbeliever and fully affirm it. Now, I'm not saying all unbelievers do. I'm saying they could. And in fact, in Romans 1, that's what you see. See, now the context of Romans 7 7 goes all the way back to Romans 1, right? Which is what? For those who know the law. But who is it that knows the? Now he's talking about Jews there. But if you go back to Romans 1, he says that the Gentiles, have the law written on their hearts. So you can see there's a little bit of tension there. It's kind of like, how do we take Romans 7? Do we apply it to Jews and to Gentiles? I think that we do. I think we have to apply it to Jews and Gentiles. This has major repercussions, right, for how we, or hamartiology, how we understand sin. So, okay, so we don't, but Paul's main point in 7 is to not be confused about what the nature of the law actually is. Do not confuse the law with sin. The law is not sin. The law is spiritual, and the law is glorious. The law is good. And what that does is show the immeasurable nature of sin. The law highlights how desperate the situation with sin really is. A few sermons ago, a few chapters ago, I talked about it in familial terms. That is, you're in a family of sin, and God plucks you out of this family that is destined for a particular end and puts you in his family that's destined for a glorious end. Now, in this case, Paul's found another way to discuss this. And the way I would use this, I'm actually going to piggyback off what I said about Tenet, that you have sort of this entropy, right? So the entire universe is spiraling into heat death. It's all going to eventually spread out in to sort of this heat death, and that's it. And unless energy is added, That's not changing. And where's that energy going to come from? See, and what Paul's doing here is he's saying, look, this process of sin precedes everything you could think about yourself. No matter how hard you try, you could never overcome it with the members of your body. It simply isn't going to happen. And so that process will continue from the day you're born until the day you die, unless something happens. And what does Paul say? Thanks be to God for Jesus Christ, his son. For he sent him to pluck you out. He sent him in to remove you from this doomed existence. I will not be spending much time stressing over the implications for certain theological positions on this. I am telling you what Romans 7 is saying, and that is precisely what it's saying that the nature of sin is. The nature of sin is this. Don't confuse the law soteriologically with salvation, right? The law is not salvation. The law highlights and identifies sin. And do not confuse the law with sin. It shows you how immeasurable sin is. But understand this, that no matter what, no matter how clear of a mind you have about what the law is, sin precedes even that. You may have a clear mind about the law. That's probably a blessing from God. That probably is another area of hamartiology we'd have to look at. But the point here is this. In the end, no matter what you do, you will be, unless you've come to know Jesus Christ, there's no getting out of that.